Hello, Tom Levesque here with the New Theory podcast. I have a very, very, very special guest today, Mikey C., Michael Corello, out of the Bronx, who runs Zia Michelina Instagram. I've been trying to get this guy on for weeks, if not months. Mikey C., welcome to the New Theory podcast. How you doing today?
You doing?
Very good, very well. All right. So if you haven't heard of him, again, just tell him a little bit what you're doing. You're doing some really cool stuff. You're starting to get some traction. First, give a little background as to what you are doing.
Well, basically, I created a page for my grandmother because about 2 years ago, I posted a video on my Facebook page that she was cooking. She was frying some eggplants, and a hot song that was hot for that month was called "I'm in Love with the Cocoa," and it was on in the background. So my brother was recording her, and she was, she started singing along with it. It was the first time we're hearing it, and she started singing it, and she started saying, "I'm in love, Mr. Coco. I'm in love, Coco. Papangulo, Mr. Coco." So it was
and it went viral, right?
Yeah, I was like, I have to put this on Facebook. So I put it on Facebook, and I went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up, and my phone was going crazy. I had thousands of notifications, on Facebook. I went to look what happened, and I see the video had about 180,000 views, thousands of shares, thousands of comments. I had about 500 to 600 inboxes, all asking me, who is this lady? Does she have Facebook? Put her on YouTube. I want her Instagram name. So we were, I was shocked. I was like, listen, I got to go make this right away. So I went, I got ready. I made a Facebook, I made an Instagram, and I made a YouTube. And I tried it the next day, another video, and we did another video, and it went viral instantly off of her page.
That's amazing. All right, so I have a whole host of questions, but my first question is, I could be wrong here. I just tend to follow you, maybe just me. I just tend to follow you on Instagram. To me, that appears you have your largest following, or am I wrong? And you get more activity off of other mediums. So give us what you're on and what those numbers look like.
All right. Our Facebook got 71,000 followers.
Wow.
I'm sorry. My Instagram has 71,000 followers. Our
nice.
Facebook has about 60,000 followers. And
nice.
our YouTube page has over 650,000 views.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so you're a good Italian boy from the Bronx. Give us your background. Who are you? What do you do? And you kind of stumbled upon this, but give us a little bit about you as a person.
All right. My name is Mike. I'm 34 years old. I live in the Bronx. I grew up here. My parents are Sicilian, so I consider myself, a Sicilian American. Even though I'm an American Sicilian, I wish I was born there. Growing up, I always knew how to speak Italian and Sicilian, but I was always afraid to. I was embarrassed. I was shy. But then when I became about 13, 14, I was like, why am I hating this? It's such a great thing to speak it and listen to Italian music. I like singing, even though I don't got a good voice. And I started using it more often. Then I started going to Italy every summer, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it worked out perfect. Because now I can speak it. I'm listening to their type of music. I made a lot of friends there. Everybody loved me. It was great.
Now, where in Sicily is your family from?
My grandma's from Corleone, and my dad is from a small town outside of Palermo called Torretta.
Oh, nice. I've never been to Corleone, but I've been by Torretta because I have a friend whose family's from Palermo. I spent a lot of time in Sicily. I'm a big fan of it. All right, so there's a lot of stuff going on here. So I love the fact that you are, a proud American, but you're also proud of your culture as well.
Yep.
So I got to tell you, so I'm a huge fan, so that's why I have you on the show. I have to tell you though, in all fairness, when I first saw it, I didn't like it. I'll tell you why. I'm 41. My mother had me a lot later in life. She had me at 44 years old. So my mother was a little older for most moms, right? Comparable to kids my age. And so she was an older parent. She got gray earlier. She was an older parent. When I see your grandmother, she reminds me a lot of my mother. And I lost my mother, a few years ago. So at first, I was like, damn, this guy's kind of like roasting his grandmother. He's kind of like splitting a little bit. that was my first reaction. I don't want to bullshit you, right? However,
but why?
When I really, at first, because I kind of thought, like, cause like you know it is, bro. Like when kids came over, my good friends, most of them were Italian, so they understood. But some people would come over, and like when my mother would speak broken English, they would speak broken English back as if she would understand better. You know what I mean? Like, so at first, I just thought you were kind of like roasting a little bit, kind of ragging on her, like just having a little fun. But then when I really stopped and watched it, and I really like got in depth with it, like it's the way you connect with her. She loves doing it. She, you know, I'm a little older. They call it being a card. She's a little bit of a card herself because she likes doing comedy. She loves what she does. She's connected with her grandson. And in the net of it all, it actually reminds you a lot of my mother, and it helps me reconnect with my mother because I love your show that much. You know what I mean? Like, so at first, I don't want to bullshit you. I was a little thrown off, but I really paid attention, and I grew to not like it but love it. But let me ask you, though, did any people feel my first sentiment, and did you get any backlash as a result?
I mean, I'm sure people, you know, are negative about my page, but between the negative and the positive, it's probably just 5% negative because the feedback that I get every day, like DMs, in comments, telling me, oh, my God, I love your Nonna. She reminds me of my grandmother. And the joy she brings to people, especially those who have lost their grandparents, you know, like they feel now my Nonna is dead Nonna, and that's what we do. That's our goal. Like, we're a nonprofit organization. We don't make – everybody thinks, oh, I got 70,000 followers. I do shows. We make millions of dollars. No. I invest money to make this, you know. And if I make money in the future, God bless me. But that's not my goal. My goal is to record videos with my grandmother because I love her. And she's so funny. And now that Instagram and Facebook is here, I can exploit it to the world. I can show her off.
Well, that and again, it's that time, those memories that they're having together, and if you could capture, God bless, right? To be honest, most people they would, right? And people can't because they either lost their loved one or frankly don't have that connection. So no, I agree with you on that. And like I told you, I'm a straight shooter. At first, I was a little thrown off, but now I'm a huge fan. I'm converted. So okay.
What gets me mad is that when people say, "Oh my God, I wish I could go see my Nonna," and I'm like, "Why don't you?"
Yeah.
Oh, because he lives an hour away. So what does that mean? You know, I'm lucky. I live right next door to my Nonna, but if I didn't, I would go see her as often as possible. You know, a lot of Italians are busy. Some are busy. No. Don't be busy. That's your grandmother. That's your grandfather. That's your mother. That's your father. You never know when they're going to go. So go see them very often because time is ticking, you know?
That's true. Now I don't want to make this too Italian-centric, but I'm going to be forced to because that's our culture, right? What I want to talk about a little bit is the Italian culture here in the U.S. Right now, you live in the Bronx. I worked in the Bronx for a number of years. I'm a huge fan of the Bronx, and I grew up in New Jersey, suburban New Jersey, and my family moved to Elizabeth. They moved to the suburbs, Roselle Park in New Jersey. You know, we all grew up, and we are still very close to each other. My siblings, we all live near each other. We do keep some of the culture in terms of, you know, we live close to each other. We're very close, holidays together. My niece studies in Italy, so we do keep even though our mother passed, we do keep the culture alive, right? However, I'm sorry, but there's nothing like the people that still live in Brooklyn or still live, you know, in Pelham Bay and you know, wherever, you know, Whitestone or wherever, you know. And so give us a little bit about how the Italian culture, in one way, has changed over the years, and what are some ways you still think are strong, in your opinion?
Within my family, I mean, for instance, let's talk about garden life. I mean, a lot of the young generation that are getting married, you know, between 25 and 35, 40, they're not following their dad's footprints and having a garden in the summer. You know, my dad is alive. That's his pride and joy. You know, from May all the way to October, he's in his garden, you know, 7 o'clock in the morning before he goes to work. He's talking to his plants. He's smoking a cigarette with them. He's hanging out with them. When he comes home, he don't even say hello to us or nothing. He goes right in his garden and he does it.
The cucuts, the tomato, you know, all the whatever you can grow, right?
We grow cucuts, we grow tomatoes, grapes, eggplant, figs, We go from A to Z.
That's all right. So,
My grandma. Hello, man.
So your family keeps the culture. I love it, right? But what do you think is changing though? Like again, I always think it's a good thing that we adopt America and the culture, but it's also important to preserve the culture. So what do you think? Because you're 34, you're not old, but you're also not a spring chicken, right? So what do you think has changed? What do you think has changed, either for the positive or the negative, in the Italian culture here in the United States, specifically in New York?
What do I think has changed? I mean, well, for instance, what I think is changing, all Italian pizzerias do not have Italian workers in there. And I laugh about it every time, me and my cousin, because my cousin's here from Italy, so we do like a pizza. We eat pizza every day, and we make a bet every time we go to the pizzeria, because we go to Italian pizzerias. I work in the 5 boroughs, so every day for lunch we get pizza, and as soon as we walk into the place, we see it says La Bella Pizza. So right away we look at each other. I bet you lunch that the Mexicans working. I'm like, I don't know, La Bella Pizza sounds nice in Italian. I was like, all right, fine, I'll take the bet today that they're Italians. And sure enough, we go in and I lose. They're Mexicans.
Well, so I want to hit both sides of that coin. On one end, I agree in terms of it should be authentic Italian food, if possible, made by people that from that culture. So I'm agree with you on that. In terms of where I kind of, maybe respectfully disagree is that was our generation. When my family came over in the 50s. My family probably came over later than most. Some people came over earlier. Some people came over later. So you remember when we came over, they couldn't find any jobs. So these are the newer immigrants that are backfilling the positions that maybe the Italians filled in the 50s. And here's the other thing, and this is where I think I want to answer the question for you if it's okay. Here are some of the things that I don't really like about the Italian culture here in the U.S. I have 2 challenges. Number one, the language. I don't speak Italian perfectly, but I understand it well, and I speak it well enough. I think, number one, the biggest issue is not enough Italian Americans speak the Italian language. Do you share that sentiment with me?
Oh, yeah, because I have so many Italian friends, and mostly all of them do not speak Italian.
Yeah, which is crazy. Then the second part is I kind of have a little bit of a bone to pick here, and I get it. When you make money, you want to live in a nice neighborhood, you want to do well, you want to drive a nice car, but a lot of Italian neighborhoods kind of, when they started making money, they kind of bounced and went to quote-unquote, white neighborhoods in terms of, the upper crust, right? Versus as opposed to investing in Bensonhurst or investing in different areas, building those areas up and staying there. You know what I mean? So they kind of almost made it about the circumstance, not about the culture. So just me personally, and I could be wrong, and I'll probably get a whole ton of emails and texts, and people will call me names, but that's why I feel the Italian culture has fell off a little bit here in the U.S. So I kind of took notice that you're pretty popular in Toronto. Like, you're up there a lot. Like, it seems like you're up there for business. Give us like your popularity, and then what parts of the world or country do you have a little bit more noise in?
Well, obviously it's New York first, because all my family were from New York. So plus, I have 2 brothers. We're all very popular, so we have a lot of friends. And when I first started my page, that's where we started going crazy, was in New York. Right. But then I met a kid from Toronto, which he has a big Italian account. His name is Dominic Buddha. His Instagram name is Italian Comedy. He started messaging.
Yes, very funny.
Yeah, he's the man. Like, we became cousins, I swear. Like, that cousin you don't have, but now he's your cousin.
Yeah, that's right.
So, we kept messaging each other back and forth. I never even knew what he looked like. And then we started texting. Then we started calling each other. We ended up becoming boys, Then we did a video call, like him and my grandmother. And we're like, oh, I love you, bro. Come to Toronto, every day talking. He really became my best friend.
Nice.
I went to Toronto. I went to meet him and Vinny Tivo and a bunch of the boys, Giuseppe the MC, Giuseppe Words of Wisdom. And honestly, they treated me like I was their brother. They loved me, took me everywhere. So as soon as we got there, we started posting stuff that we were going to be at the Big Cannoli having espressos and coffee at 2 o'clock. And no lie, 20, 30 people were already there before 2 o'clock. as we're there, people are calling, like, tell Mikey, tell Dominic, tell Time Comedy, tell them all to stay. We're on the way. There's traffic. Everybody wants to take a picture with you. I was, like, shocked because I know my grandma's famous, you know, but I didn't realize I'm also famous and Dom's also famous. And over there in Toronto, it is beautiful. It feels like you're in Italy. Like, I was in the town Woodbridge. Any place you went to, whether it was a coffee shop or a pizzeria or a gelato spot, they all spoke Italian. It wasn't even like, hello, it was ciao, come stai, what do you want? Everything was beautiful. It was like, I thought I was in Italy. It was great.
Well, that's one of the things. I've never been to Toronto, but I spent some time in Montreal, and the biggest difference I felt between, like, the North American Italians, we all are, right? But Italian Canadian or Italian American, the biggest difference is I strongly feel in, you know, Montreal and obviously Toronto, as you would say, or Canada overall, the Italians that are there seem to be a little bit more plugged into the Italian culture, and they generally speak the language more. I think it's because they have more of a European connection, as well as they tend to speak multiple languages anyway. They might speak French, they might speak English. So speaking Italian makes sense if you grew up in an Italian family. So I actually agree with you where when I was in Montreal, not nearly as many Italians as Toronto, but enough, and I found myself speaking more Italian than English to those people who spoke Italian. So I echo that. All right. So now you say,
my friends in Toronto are Calabrese, and I'm Sicilian, so I was afraid to speak to their family because they took me to their family's houses for dinner, lunch, and they started speaking in their dialect, and it was identical. I guess because we're from the South, it was exactly the same. Like every word for word, we said the same exact thing. I thought it was so cool.
That's awesome. Now, do you ever get any? Now, you mentioned not a lot of hate, which I like, because you're a good-hearted person. You mean well. You're owning your culture. You're owning what you're doing. You're not pretending to be here now. So I love. But do you ever get any pushback in terms of stereotypes? Like people saying, "Oh man, like, hey, you're the kid from the Bronx, and I love what you're doing, but that's not really how we are." Like, do you ever get any shit like that, or not really? I don't see it on the comments a lot, but do you ever get that?
Oh, yeah, a lot. Like, one time I was at my cousin's wedding, so I thought it was funny because I know back in the day, us Italians, because we went to weddings together, as a little kid, who would take the fork, who would take the salt and the pepper, the bread, all the cookies at the end of the party. So I'm like, yo, this is a great idea. Let me make this video. So I made a video, and I started off like saying, Italians be like, and I start sticking things in the bag, the salt shaker.
That's funny.
The fork, the napkin, the bread, the flowers, and I had this really, really big bag. And, I mean, the video probably has about 500,000 views right now, but a lot of people deleted me because of that video and said that I'm making Italians look stupid. But, I'm doing Italian comedy, so it's funny. And whoever said that that's not true, they're just, they're hiding it because I'm sure their parents and their grandparents definitely took a salt shaker or sugar package.
That's funny.
Because we all do it. I'm sure people still do it now.
That's funny. Now, you don't strike me. Take this as a compliment. You don't strike me as kind of a natural-born comedian. However, watching at least again, I'm an Instagram guy. Watching on Instagram, I think that's what makes you funny because you're not a comedian. So are you kind of a comedian, but you make it look like you're not, or are you just not a comedian and it's funny because you're just doing funny shit?
I mean, I'm not a comedian, but in the last 2 months, I've kind of became a comedian because so many people want us in their shows. My grandmother in their show, but my grandma can only do 3-4 minutes on stage. So people are there to see her, they're not going to just come there for 3 minutes.
Correct.
I was always a funny kid, so I put a few skits together so we could be on stage for 20 to 30 minutes, and we made it happen.
That's awesome. Now,
I guess I kind of became a comedian over the last
That's
few
awesome.
months.
And you're always perfecting your craft, which again, any good comedian or any good performer does. All right. So what I do is I have a new theory, and I have a digital marketing company. So I'm just kind of running some numbers. Let's look at the business aspect before we wrap this up. You're at 70,000 followers on Instagram, which is a very good number. I noticed one thing about you. I think your account was private for a while. I noticed you don't buy followers. That was the one thing I really liked about what you've been doing. So I noticed you had tranches. You were like at 20,000, then you went to like 40, and then like now you're at 70, right? Like you didn't sit there and then wake up one day you were at 70,000 with 200 likes. You know what I mean? So like your shit's real, which I like. So I love that. I love that about what you're doing. You're growing your platform. I got to check you out on Facebook, right? So I'll check you out on that, and then YouTube I'll check you out on that. But
Zia Michelina.
Go ahead. How did you grow it? Why don't you talk about how you grew to get here before I ask my next question?
All right. Well, after our second video came out on Instagram, an Italian porn star named Ava Fiore loved my grandma's video. She actually seen it because one of my friends posted it, and she wrote on this picture, "Oh my God, I have to share this." That night she reposted it, and she wrote, "Oh my God, my grandmother's crazy." But she tagged her, and I didn't mind. Instantly, I got thousands of followers. I went from like a few hundred right away into the 2,000 to 3,000 that day.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you got some shout outs, but the rest was a grind though, right? Or did you get a few other shout outs to give you bigger tranches?
I mean, I get shout outs every day, but famous people shout me out. Like I've been on Hot 97's page because in the beginning we were doing a lot of rapping videos.
Yeah.
A lot of singers and the rappers would repost it, like OT Genesis, Funkmaster Flex, Hot 97, Cheddar the Connect. They were all posting it. But then I started getting this huge Italian community, and they all kept saying, "We want Italian music. We want Italian music." So Nonna started singing Italian music, and that's why I started growing rapidly. And just recently, about a year ago, a famous person from Italy that's on Rai International every Sunday, Mata Veneer.
Yeah, she's huge, bro. She's huge.
Yeah, she started liking all the pictures, commenting, and I didn't know who she was. And then somebody wrote, "Oh my God, even Mata Veneer is liking your pictures and commenting." So I Googled her, and I seen that she was somebody from Rai. So I called my mother. I'm like, "Mate, who's Mata Veneer?" She's like, "Oh, that's the woman we watch every Sunday." I'm like, "No way."
Yeah.
Commenting on all our pictures. 5 minutes later, she sent me a direct message. "Please, I want a video call with Nonna." So we video called with her, and she started reposting all her videos. Like so many times, she reposted her.
That's awesome. Now, ironically though, here's the thing. To us, Toronto Italians, New York Italians, Italian Americans, we love it because it connects us with the culture in Italy. But I hate to say this, and it's going to sound bad. In Italy, this shit's like kind of normal for them. So do you have a big fan base in Italy, or it's not as popular there? Because walk us through that.
I have so many fans in Italy. I have so many Italians in Belgium that I never even knew there were Italians in Belgium. Every day, I get more messages from Belgium saying, "Hello from Belgium, ciao from Belgium," from London, Germany, Switzerland. Like, I have a graph on Instagram, and it shows me where all my followers are from.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. So the business aspect, right? Because as a good Italian guy, you're also a businessman, right? Just by nature, right? So I'm just talking numbers: 70,000 IG, 60,000. Facebook, probably some overlap. Probably good for like 100, 600,000 followers. Probably good 100,000 people saw those because they saw them 4 or 5 times. So you have a nice little what we call ecosystem of close to 250,000 people. You can start making a few bucks off that. So are you right now in the phase where, wow, I got a good network. Let me maybe start getting, reaching out to Barilla Pasta, or people reaching out to you to get access to your people, or are you not worrying about monetization and are you just trying to build and maybe do that later? Give us let's be honest, you're doing it for fun, but it could be a business. So walk us through that.
That is my goal, like to make money in the future. But if I don't care. I do some advertising for people, but a few bucks here and there. But the problem is that if it's not something Italian, then I lose a lot of followers rapidly. So,
Okay. So right now you're still growing, right? Like when you get the 100,000 mark on IG, people will reach out to you. So don't worry about that. Trust me, they will reach out to you, right? But you brought up a good point. So you have posted some things that were Italian-centric, and it dropped off. Would you mind sharing maybe specifics or generalities of what it was and what type of loss was it? Was it a few hundred, a few thousand, and what was it that turned people off that you didn't think would?
I mean, just seeing a post on advertisement, let's just say for this aid company that was working with these old people. They asked me to advertise their flyer, and even though they paid me a few bucks, it wasn't worth it because I could lose 50 followers that night after I posted it.
True. Well, I would say this go ahead, sorry.
Like I said, a lot of people also get mad that if I don't follow them back, they'll unfollow me because I'm not following them.
Well, what's your? That's a good point, because I will tell you this. So again, it's almost like if you came to me and asked for advice on what to do, you're pretty much doing everything that you should be doing. Now, there's two schools of thoughts on following. One is follow the people that really support you. Like you notice me, I keep liking, right? Let me follow you. And the other is keep it more like a brand, not follow too many people. And not that you're hating on anybody, it's just that you can't follow everybody because otherwise you'd follow 70,000 people. So my question is, what's your strategy on following back?
I mean, well, you only can follow 7,700 people. You could get unlimited followers, but the limit on following people is 7,700.
Why do you? Just out of curiosity, why that number?
I don't know. That's just what Instagram allows you to do. Once you get to 7,700 people, you're not allowed to follow nobody else.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's a good question. I didn't know that.
So what I do.
Shit! I learned something new, Mikey. Thank you for that. I should know that in my job, but okay, fair enough. Keep going.
So all my friends in my Italian community, they don't follow people back at all. So they have a low number. They think it's a better look. But I follow people because what I do is, if I need a fan I'm low in, let's just say Palermo, I'm going to hashtag Palermo, and I'm going to find all these videos or pictures, and I'm going to like every picture in the popular page in that hashtag. And then I'm going to friend request everybody that I'm allowed to. I think it's like 300 you could do in a minute. And I'm going to follow all of them because they're from Palermo. Once they follow me back, I'm going to unfollow them. So some of those
you do a follow unfollow to grow. Now you're pretty savvy. Okay, you're pretty. I like it because you got to play like, hey, I'm the Italian guy, but meanwhile, you know your digital marketing. Now, do you use? Now, what tools do you use? Are you using apps or doing this all manually?
Yeah, I'm just using an Instagram app. I hashtag it in the search page.
But you're not using any third-party apps like Follow, Like, or any of those? You're doing it all manually?
Yeah, I just do it right through Instagram.
Okay, that's okay. There's two schools of thought. One is those apps do help a little quicker or work a little better, but they could also get you in trouble if the app falls out of favor. And the other is do it manually because it's more genuine. It just takes a little bit more time. But again, I respect the hustle.
I mean,
okay.
Follow people is easy. To unfollow them is a little bit more difficult because you got to click it more times. You got to manually go through. Now, any like letters or heartfelt stuff that people wrote you, like, hey, you remind me of my grandmother, you remind me of the times as a kid, I really appreciate what you're doing. Like, have you ever received any great, messages or emails or letters or gifts, kind of, people saying, hey, thank you for doing this and keeping the culture alive? Are you getting fan mail, if you will? Every day I get right now for Christmas, we are getting panettones in the mail. But do me a favor, put a little red sticker on the bottom and give it away. It'll come back to you in a year or so. Exactly. That's what we do. We start panettone there before we give it away, and if it comes back, we know it was ours. But right now, that's great. Here's a card we just got right now. It says, "Hi, everyone." I love it. Now, God, there's so many more questions I have, but I don't want to keep you too long. The other thing is your content strategy. Like, again, if this was a big company, you would have, editorial calendar and a content schedule and all this other shit. Like, do you plan out the content, or is it more on the fly? What do you mean? Like for example, like you're gonna do 5 new things next week. Do you have that sketched out? Like you say, okay, Tuesday we're doing this. So everything's on the fly, nothing planned. Just kind of just do it as is, right? Wing it. I really do just wing it. Well, that's what I think. Sometimes go ahead. Good, but very rarely, I write it down on my phone, and then within a few days, I try to put it together. That's awesome. All right, tell us about you. Single, married, girlfriend? I have a girlfriend. Very nice. You meet her through
IG, or you met her before?
No, I met her at a club.
Nice. You get a little thirst on there? I don't get in trouble with your girl, but you get a little thirst on there?
What's that?
You get a little thirst on IG or now and again, or not really?
No, not really.
You don't want to get in trouble. I got you. All right. So give us how to reach you. I'll put some links, but give us how to reach you, because if you listen this long, either you know Mikey and what he's about with his grandmother, and if not, you got to find this guy. So, Mikey, just give a shout out in terms of how to find you.
All right, our Instagram is Zia Michelina, ZIA_MICHELINA. Our Facebook is also the same thing, and YouTube. You can check us out.
All.
Follow us, give us a like, repost our videos. Support your Italian community.
I love it. Now, next time, I want. She's not near you, is she? Your grandmother?
Yeah, she's right here the whole time.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. Let's get her on.
Ma, say hello, ma.
Hello, baby. How are you?
Ciao, signora, come stai?
Tutto bene? Con gli altri come state? Sta tutto bene?
Sono a posto. Grazie per sentire questo podcast si chiama, è lo stesso di radio. So, grazie per sentire la voce del mio, you know?
Me non speak English, speak italiano.
No, lo so. No, allora ti parla inglese o no?
Ah, come?
She speaks Sicilian.
Oh, Sicilian. Oh, I don't understand. Io capisco un po' il siciliano.
E tu capisci anche siciliano?
Mi capisci quello che dico?
Sì, lo so, sì, certo.
Bravo, mi fa piacere veramente. Come stai?
Bene, e anche io un grande piacere mio, anche. So.
Mi fa piacere di parlare, ma mi dispiace che non ti posso vedere, perché siamo qua tutti.
E prossima volta, e viene là per facciamo faccia a faccia, I'll come see him in persona.
Quando viene tanto piacere mi fa.
Beautiful.
Tanto piacere.
Sì, tanto piacere, ciao, ci vediamo. So Mikey, here's what we're going to do. Grazie, ciao. Speriamo che vedere presto, ok?
Yeah, più presto ci vediamo meglio.
Perfect. So Mikey, here's what we got to do. We got to maybe do a video interview with Zia, with Nonna, and we'll have a little fun with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Mi fa piacere veramente.
Anch'io. She's a good woman. She reminds me of my mother. And we'll make some memories. So everyone listen, you gotta follow this guy. You gotta follow his grandmother. Again, you don't have to necessarily be Italian to see the connection between a grandson and grandmother. And Mikey, thank you for being on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us. Ciao.
Ciao,
Ciao, signora. Ciao.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas e buone feste.